Peace, peace, peace. Greetings to all. Peace to all. May you find harmony. May you find peace in these moments, man, especially in the world that we're living in right now. I'm constantly reminded of an elder, Bobby Hemmett, who something that stuck with me and still is like lingering with me in my memory is that he said, well, let's first give honor to source, the Most High, the Creator, who made all of these things possible. But he at first said a comment that if you can find peace in this moment, in these moments, while the world seems like it's like being turned upside down, you are in a great place. Even if you're striving for that, just know that you can do it. Keep going. And in that keeping going, it's okay to rest. It's okay to rest. It's okay to listen to your body. It's very challenging, to hear certain things, but at the same moment, I'm just here as a reminder, as a messenger, because again, we didn't grow up with these core beliefs, with these beliefs of knowing that everything is temporary, the seasons change, people change. It's okay to be okay. It's okay to not be okay when people are not okay with you. But it's okay also to be okay when they're not okay with you, with what you're doing and the decisions that you're making, because we were not programmed or, fed to really believe in ourselves first, or even develop our own core values or things that are simply that will, again, which we see now, catch up with us in the long haul, or in our later days, in our adulthood or whatever. So a lot of this message could be for those who are younger, whatever your age is again, take care of your mental. It's a day-to-day thing, challenge, especially for both young men and women. My message for the young men is, do your best to surround yourself with someone who's, with people who are, especially men, whether you can find some type of mentorship. I can offer mentorship. I can offer, these encouraging words. I can offer like some honest structure, because I come into contact with young men, and I didn't ever think I'd see myself doing this, because it's wild, because of how growing up, sometimes we didn't even believe that we were going to see. Well, honestly, I didn't even believe I was going to see the age of 34. And it's not even, it may sound cliche, but in all honesty, when depending on the demographics you grew up in, or just depending on even just how you were spoken to, and then what was force-fed through the media and so forth, like, depending on your demographics, especially as a darker man in the country, again, where there isn't very much empowerment or support around anything but being, stereotyped as a criminal or a basketball player or a football player. And even looking at a lot of those things is that you got some people who are blessed to see longevity in it, but at the same time, we're talking about after that, their body, or just the aspect of, again, the well-being and all of that. Like, that's not something that's pushed first. That's not something that's a priority. So my message is always to remind you of that. Like, we need to take care of our well-being, and that's how the world is changing right now. And I'm going to keep inspiring the youth to know that, to surround yourself, women and men, especially young women as well, surrounding yourself with women who emotionally support you in a healthy manner, and also encourage you to love on yourself as well, to embrace that ever-changing aspect of who you are in a feminine sense, and that you are capable of love and being loved, and most importantly for everyone is to walk in integrity. And there was something else I wanted to mention. That integrity thing is very important because we really do not see a lot of it. And again, that's not something that's prioritized because we've been given this illusion or this narrative of like assuming that everyone walks in integrity or everyone walks in authenticity. And again, that's not my place to to monitor that. But energy doesn't lie. So again, just a brief message to remind you all that you are loved. You've always been loved, and there's going to be challenges. But always remember that to breathe, most importantly, and to know that your journey is not supposed to look like no one else. And when you are doing something for the first time and it's new, just know that you are already given the tools, you are already given the emotional strength, the spiritual support, the mental support, and eventually you'll have that physical support. What else I wanted to say? One of my other confessions is one of the most challenging things daily is to having to unwire my mind or break generational curses and certain patterns. Is like I really had to accept that I did not grow up in an environment that was healthy for my mental health, that was healthy for healthy in any type of encouraging way. It's very it's not as such an easy task because it's, as I share messages with y'all, I'm in a process of still like breaking patterns or like even thought patterns, of like, this is the most confident I have ever been after 34 years within myself, having to rebuild that confidence, that self-esteem, having to break free from social anxiety, having to break the generational curse of becoming my own man and not like other men that I saw, and even coming to the deep acceptance of even seeing the thought pattern, the behavior patterns in certain relationships, connections that whether I attracted or whether I was just attached to, which was causing my own suffering. And like, I don't know, I guess it's just coming up, but it's nothing. I really have a lot of compassion for the future generations and the generation that came before, because it's also accepting that a lot of these elders are just who they are, and it's not about blaming them, pointing the finger. They're who they are because that's what they had to experience, or their programming and whatever they have went through is so deep to where there's no digging that tree up. There's no digging those roots up. There's no changing anyone, because that's one of the most deepest things that we have to accept, that we cannot change people. We cannot change people. We cannot mold them and shape them into anything. And when you look at this society, that's what it's kind of been prone around. Like, the programming is so deep in trying to shape everyone and mold everyone into being the same, and acting the same and walking this straight line, or things as such, to where it's really, the beautiful part of that is causing people to rebel, because they're realizing how much of inauthenticity or inauthentic. When I say this word gets on my nerve, But y'all get the gist. I'm trying to park. Give me a moment. But in authentic life, or how much they fool themselves, that's one of the biggest things that I like, man, was huge for me, is coming to that big self-realization, like, yo, what have I been doing? And again, one of the most challenging things for me is, for me on my journey, and I'm pretty sure a lot of you can relate to this, it's like really realizing like how much of an unhealthy environment that I grew up in, especially for my mental. I always give credit to where it's due. Shout out to Love Dorsey. She said this on one of her videos, and I got her finished watching it. Actually, I'm probably finna do it now. Where she talks about how a lot of us were, we were provided for mentally. I mean, we were provided for physically. Yes, we were provided for physically, but when it comes to the mental aspect, our mental was never taken care of. And you know how deep that is to accept that? And like, that right there was the biggest thing for me that I had to share with someone recently. I was like, yo, I mean, even to where my thought pattern was so deep, is like I felt like the world was against me. I was in my mind a lot because, I always express that men, we tend to process things in our mental space first rather than emotional, because, we tend to be more on the logical aspect. Not that we're more logical than women, because you have people who are either more emotional or more logic. It's just with me, I've had early to be in a more hyper masculine aspect of, just because my mental wasn't taken care of, just because I was around a woman or in the presence of women and men who were emotionally unavailable and unstable or imbalanced, however you want to perceive it. And that right there created an imbalance within myself, because again, there's things, that's what I wanted to get to. There's things that was really beyond our control when we were just a child. In these years, again, we, for a lot of us, I know myself, is like, where else did I have to go when it came to that? And I didn't know how much of my mental health and, and mental well-being would be such a priority right now. And that's just slowly from growing internally and experiencing said relationships that was so chaotic and so traumatic, especially the ones growing up, and that having now to be like my first priority is to protect my peace. And it's not just my peace, it's like how that affects the home environment and the ones that you're connected to, and just daily, like, especially for some of us who have a child or kids, or, you're daily trying to, in your said careers, in your environments and so forth, you're daily don't even know, because sometimes we're unaware because of so much deep subconscious programming that, at times I used to feel like not just the world was against me. I used to feel like certain things were after me because of the fact of how I wanted to break free from a lot of things. And, I felt like just because I would speak my truth, just because I would be honest with myself and, and share these messages, I feel like at times, like, am I going to be punished or am I going to be attacked? And in reality, a lot of it comes with a lot of acceptance, because there are some of us who had to speak up against, using the term like the karmic family, or had to speak up against things that were where we would get attacked for, even punished in a way, meaning like young, where, we were taught to sit back and not speak up about things that we knew that wasn't healthy for everybody, or, became very traumatic in our younger days. So, yeah, that's been one of the most deepest things for me, is battling through and advocating now for mental health awareness and speaking my own experiences, as well as sharing it with the youth, because you just never know. Again, certain demographics and then certain programmings in itself has a lot to do with, again, how we behave and how our lives have come to where we are now. And again, it's a process of, breaking these generational chains, and, we're, not really having the support, immediately when it comes to the family that you grew up in. And then all of a sudden now it's the ones you got to break free from and then build what some may call like a soul tribe, or those who have a deeper connection emotionally, mentally, spiritually. And yeah, it's been like I said, from my experience, like it's troubling and almost like disgusting with the old versions of what I used to be around and who I used to be around. But I'm grateful for the lessons. And again, just how, when we really ponder and sit back, like your behavior patterns, you realize like, where did it come from and where did it stem from and how do we inherit these things? Man, like I was telling someone, like even the fact of now I'm coming into things greater, like I'm more confident, is because what y'all don't see and what you don't know about is like, again, the internal battle of like trying to fight off, if you want to call it demons, or you trying to face yourself and seeing why you develop these behaviors, getting down to the nitty gritty of things, feeling the emotions. I think on a previous video, like I said, having to accept like that I won't ever have the physical father that I wish I had. And then now the challenging part is becoming that as a father. Again, when you don't have that structure there, or have had that structure, it can be very challenging and difficult, not just through actions, but to accept internally. It's how much our internal world, or what we did not receive, it's like the world is asking us, or there's a high expectation from external shit where it really doesn't matter, but there's a high expectation for us, even as, and I'm just using this, like darker men, to just be. And this was so messed up about it. When you look at the dysfunction of the world, there's a higher expectation energetically and this is just how the world has been. There's a higher expectation for us as darker men to be unsuccessful, angry, criminalized, or, just label anything but beautiful, wholesome, divine, or just anything that's the opposite of, of anything that's truly, loved or lovable. And I mean, like, the attack on simply how, we're viewed, what we stand for, and so forth. Because, I don't want to be, I'm telling myself, I don't care and want to be viewed as, again, another athlete, another, or stereotype and stuff like that. I stand in the gap, and I stand for the youth who are now in creating this new world that wants to stand in their uniqueness and be confident in their natural abilities and gifts, and in the arts and music. And art consisting of many things, or just being a co-creator, like, just naturally gifted in that, and then realizing like that deep acceptance of your own world first, before you caring about how the world view you or accept you. Because again, we have been in environments where people never accepted their world, especially their internal world. They portrayed and masked themselves so much that their internal world was so bothered and so disrupted and so damaged and broken that, again, we became the projections of that. We became the outlet for that in unhealthy ways, in unhealthy manners. And so, that right there in itself, when I'm speaking these messages, has a lot to do with restoring that balance within ourselves, where we balance that internal world just as, you know, seeing that as just as a priority as our external world, and, you know, prioritizing our internal beliefs, our own beliefs, how we come to our own beliefs and values of the world, you know, well, within ourselves first. Like, you know, do not ever let the world determine your value, your worth. And I don't mean that in you know, because it's easy for we to say, you know, in a material sense, or, you know, monetary, but it's beyond that. And so it's a day-to-day thing, to where you slowly have to unlearn these things that have been forced into your narrative, and the viewpoints, and the scarcity. Like, it's a lot. It's deep. Again, when I didn't grow up, when that survival mode, and I'm so grateful that I have broken this generational curse of survival mode, is because I realized how much that that was keeping me in a loop of, like, the wounds, or how I viewed money, how I viewed others with money, how I viewed other men that were darker. Like, I'm talking about deep insecurities that you don't even realize you have until you come to the self-realization of who you've been around, women and men, you know, when you're younger, until you become more self-aware that they were very envious and broken and very damaged inside. They were, you know, they carry so much to where they were really afraid of being honest to the world, and they portrayed to the world that they were safe, but deep down they felt so unsafe. And so this scarcity kept them feeling stuck, instead of looking at the lesson that can be learned in it. And that's what the difference is between walking in integrity and being authentic. Is learning to realize, like, can I accept what's in my world? Okay, a part of accepting in my world is also a part of realizing that what has happened in my world since my childhood, and the uncomfortable and not so, you know, the ugly things, or the things that we didn't want to accept. And, you know, we cannot unsee it, but we can get through it. And so that's the thing about why I say spiritual lessons, or seeing the lesson in the growth in it, is being able to face those things daily, you know, to be able to become their fathers and mothers, or become those leaders of the future, even when we didn't have that great support system, and that emotional support system. For a lot of us, it can look completely different. And I'm speaking, the reason why this is so important for me is, like, sharing this message, is because the bigger picture of, again, a lot of people such as myself went through our identity crisis, you know, telling myself I don't have to burn myself out just because this position or this place. I got to see the bigger picture towards where I'm going and who I'm becoming. But that doesn't mean I lose myself again in the process of being, you know, stable. I had to do a lot. No one knows the depths of that. I had to get through a lot to even get stable within myself again. When we talk about building confidence and self-esteem, it has a lot to do with your emotional stability as well, and not allowing the world to define you as a person, a human being. You know, letting go, you know, as a man that, you know, that's darker and so forth. You know, that there's different realms or different aspects, you know, different viewpoints, and not allowing anyone else's perspective to define who I am. Let me first, you know, is my perspective of myself beautiful? Can I see myself blossoming? And that took years to get to that place internally, because I knew that deep down I felt like I was rotting inside, because I was around people who were rotting, who was rotting. And that affected me until I became very aware that I have always been blossoming and growing. So it's a mindset as well. It's the mindset. It's also the emotional aspect of things. All of it connects to it all. But I got to get up out of here. And I just want to let you know that you are loved, and you deserve to be loved. You deserve to love yourself. You deserve to be loved by others, and accepted first by yourself, and then be accepted by others. Again, even if they don't accept you, the process, it's beautiful to be at that place where you are okay with people not being okay with you, because you're going to grow, and you are the seed that grows. You got this. I believe in you all. Believe in yourself. Think for yourself. Create your own core beliefs and values. Peace and blessings. Shalom.